Let's bring back car news of the week, starting with a new Lamborghini, the Huracan STO, which stands for Super Trofeo Omologata, which I likely just butchered the pronunciation of, but is essentially the homologated road legal version of the race car. So you had the Huracan Performante, which is the more hardcore track focused version of the regular Huracan. Now they've gone to the Evo, and this is the top tier, most track focused hardcore version, and it's similar to what McLaren does with the LT models, of Ferrari with the Speciale, the Scuderia, and even like a GT3 RS version from Porsche. But what makes this STO different is the fact that it's going to be rear-wheel drive. When you look at all the other high-performance Lamborghinis, they're known for their all-wheel drive system, but for the first time, you get the top horsepower in rear-wheel drive. Usually, Lamborghini will detune the rear-wheel drive version of like the Gallardo or the Huracan. It's the LP580 versus LP610, but for the STO, you get that same 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 as the Performante, so 631 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque, but it's more than just a rear-wheel drive Performante. It's a lot more hardcore, like way more intense. So here's a list of some of the things that you get with the STO. You get a half titanium roll cage. Well, it's made of titanium, half roll cage, not like half is titanium, half is steel. Standard 4-point harnesses. You get carbon fiber reinforced plastic / carbon skin, so it's lighter than a Performante, 95 pounds lighter than a Performante. Brembo CCMR brakes, which are really like aggressive carbon ceramic brakes, magnesium wheels, and the result of all of this with the rear-wheel drive is the Performante laps Daytona in 1:51. The GT3 Evo does it in 1:46. This splits the difference in 1:48. So you take the Performante, the full-out race car, and this is right in the middle. You get 53% more downforce and 37% more aerodynamic, which those numbers I don't remember seeing like at what speed. So more downforce at what speed compared to what? Marketing numbers, they push them out like that. But it's more slippery, it has more downforce. And it's also might be the last of the Huracans, and then with the next gen, which hopefully stays V10. But if you look at what they did to the Gallardo, there's probably going to be another like 4 or 5 random special editions, an STS and a convertible version and who knows what. Eventually, we will get the next gen, same 7-speed dual clutch, but if you look at the car, it's way more aggressive. You look at the interior, it is stripped out race car, so it's like the Performante plus extra level, and it looks properly intense. I'm really interested to see rear-wheel drive because I think they did that because they just wanted full-out race car on the road, and that's what people want to buy. Look at the McLaren 620R. They're doing that type of stuff for people. And speaking of McLaren, the next piece of news, we'll talk about the McLaren Artura. So, the new hybrid Sport Series replacement. The Sport Series is technically ending, so the 570S lineup with the 600 LT and that 620R, the full-out kind of GT4 inspired race car, that is going to end Super Series. So now they're calling it HPH, which is High Performance Hybrid, which I found amusing because is that implying they're going to make a low performance hybrid? That's not really McLaren. Anyways, it's going to become on sale for the first half of 2021. So next year, coming up very soon, we will have an attainable McLaren hybrid. McLaren has done hybrids before. Obviously, the flagship P1 out of the Ultimate Series, same thing with the Speedtail. But those are many, many zeros behind the number, so you really can't afford that unless you're a billionaire. But this new one will have a twin-turbo V6 with hybrid assist, and you will be able to run it in pure electric mode. So no engine on at all. It'll still be plenty powerful, obviously. It's also the next-gen carbon fiber tub. So you had the first-gen carbon tub and debuted in the 12C. Then they updated it, like the 720S is a new one. This one is calling it McLaren Carbon Lightweight Architecture. MCLA. McLaren just loves their acronym. But the big deal is the brand new carbon tub developed from the ground up in order to accommodate batteries and hybrid systems. From what I understood, like the P1 originally wasn't designed to be a hybrid, so that tub had to make some accommodations to make it possible. But with this new gen high performance hybrid, it will be set up from the ground up to be hybridized with batteries, and allegedly lightweight measures made from the body, the chassis, the powertrain will allow a hybrid McLaren to not suffer a huge weight penalty. Batteries are very, very heavy, same with motors and things like that. So they're going to try to keep the weight down, even though it's going to be a hybrid. So it's going to sit between the McLaren GT and the 720S. The GT, remember, is the more luxury Grand Touring version. This one is going to be in between those two. Sport Series is gone. You still have the Super Series above it, and then the Ultimate Series cars way up. I think it looks pretty cool. Look at the camo shots. It's got like the eye socket kind of headlight look of the 720. Around back, you see GT-inspired taillights with kind of a mix of a 720, kind of a mesh finish out back. it's gonna look awesome. I actually found it kind of amusing. It's like what BMW probably should have done with the i8 if they made an M version, which they never were going to. And I've talked about this in other videos, but like a plug-in carbon tub hybrid with a more powerful engine. And I loved my i8, so maybe this is the McLaren that someday I'll actually buy. Also, maybe no more alphanumeric names. I understood that it made sense to me because I loved McLarens, but if you were just like a normal person, you're like 675 LT, then 765, and then 720, and then 650S, and then 600, and 570, and then there's a 540. Yeah, most people would be like, huh? I've had people completely confused by the numbers and letters, and it's a little complicated, so actual names might help. Moving on to another kind of track-focused sports car, supercar level vehicle. The 992 GT3 has started to get teased. So we've seen test mules, camouflage test cars out. And one of the first things everybody noticed was the wing. And initially I remember seeing it, I'm like, that's gotta be just for development, like prototyping. There's no way that's gonna be a production wing because it's a swan neck wing. But there's been a couple videos that were posted. I spent a lot of time really enjoying the Top Gear video with Chris Harris. They went through his history of like all these various GT cars from Porsche. But here's the big deal. It shall keep the 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6. It'll make more than 500 horsepower, no confirmed numbers yet, so it'll be a little bit better than the current 991.2 GT3, which is 500 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque. It'll probably take the speedster motor and make it a step further, which is a little bit more power and some other improvements. But essentially that 4-liter flat 6, you will be able to get either a manual or a PDK, just like this current gen. And then from an appearance standpoint, the swan neck wing is pretty aggressive. So it connects on the top, and on a wing, the most important element is the underside of the wing. So you get more surface area by having the wing mounted from the top, and it's certainly quite aggressive. The whole car is wider, bigger, longer. I mean, the 992 has grown, so it will be bigger, but that helps you get wider front track and rear track, and things like that. Downforce is up by 50%, less drag. Do you also notice up front, you got kind of those nostrils in the front hood for airflow. A lot of cars are doing that type of thing. I remember you think about Aventador SV and SVJ. SVJ has those two little nostrils up front. You also have standard carbon hood and some RS weight-saving measures that are typically reserved for the GT3 RS, GT2 RS that are going to be added to the standard car, which then means that even though it's, like I said, wider, bigger, longer, it will not weigh more than the previous gen, or not by any significant margin, which is good news because everybody's losing their minds about cars getting heavy. Well, actually, I agree. I drove the new RS6 and it's 5,000 pounds. I'm like, that's an SUV. What? So yeah, cars are getting heavier. Race-inspired multi-link front suspension. First time ever on the 911, and also not a single suspension component will be shared between the regular 911 Carreras and the GT3, so you couldn't swap any parts. Completely redesigned for sharper handling, and you get the typical GT3 stuff. Center lock wheels, carbon ceramic brakes, very aggressive tires, 21s in back, 20s up front for the wheel sides there, 315s out back and 255s up front, so I think that's slightly wider tires. And then you can get Cup Rs, which are the Michelin Cup Rs, which are very, very aggressive sticky track compound, which will be optional on the regular GT3 level car. Center exit exhaust out back. It's supposed to sound more mature, which I hope means it still sounds good. According to that video, it still sounds like a GT3, but a lot of new cars are getting neutered from an exhaust standpoint by those particular filters. And let's see what else. There will be a touring version, and you will be able to get a touring and a PDK, but those are staggered out a little bit after the initial GT3 launches. And I mean, looking at the GT3, hearing about the details, seeing how aggressive it's going to be, I can't even imagine what the GT3 RS is going to be like. It's going to be probably just an actual race car on the road again, which a lot of these people want to buy, and it's going to be really awesome. I'm excited for that car. Last one is just almost a little footnote, but it's worth mentioning. The Ford Bronco R has completed the Baja 1000. So the Bronco R race prototype finished the Baja 1000 in just over 32 hours. That's a grueling race, and the big deal is it's a stock 2.7 liter EcoBoost along with the stock 10-speed transmission, which is a testament to the durability and off-road abilities of the eventual road-going production Ford Bronco. I'm actually really excited to try out the Ford Bronco. I did the Ford Bronco Sport Drive recently. That video should be going up whenever the embargo lifts, so I'll have to edit those and put those out. But the Ford Bronco R did the Baja 1000. we are going to try our best to bring back these car news of the week. They were like in 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is actually really stressful because like it's getting all that information in and trying to get it in one take because you make like you misspeak something and you got to start over or something. So that's actually kind of hard. So comment below, do you want to see me struggle to get all this in 5 minutes as a little tidbit, or just kind of talk as much news as I have? Regardless, I actually enjoy making these videos. It's pretty cool seeing and keeping updated with the latest news. Thank you guys for all the support. We'll see you guys next time.